Excellence doesn't come wrapped in glory. It comes in silence. It comes when no one's watching. It comes in the early mornings you didn't want to wake up. The nights you bled your will into a project no one will ever thank you for. It comes in the dark hours, where no applause exists, only pressure, pain, and choice. You see, most people want the crown, but they're not willing to carry the weight. They fold when it's uncomfortable. They wait for motivation. They quit the moment the results don't come fast enough. They chase hacks and shortcuts because they fear the long road. But you're not here for shortcuts. You're here for truth. And the truth is simple. Excellence is war. A war you fight with yourself every damn day. It's not built in applause, likes, or recognition. It's built in silence, forged in fire, and refined through discipline. You want to be different? You want to rise while the rest rot in mediocrity? Then you must make a decision to be ruthless with your time, brutal with your excuses, and relentless in your habits. Because the world doesn't care what you say you want. It only responds to how you show up. When it's cold, when it's lonely, when it's hard, when it's inconvenient. This is not about hype. This is about identity. So stop waiting. Stop explaining. Stop begging for ease. And listen closely. Because what you're about to hear are not lessons. They are weapons. Weapons forged for those who dare to demand more from themselves. Not tomorrow. Now let's begin. Lesson 1. Mastering your mornings. Before the world opens its eyes, you must already be moving. Excellence doesn't begin when the sun is up. It begins in darkness. In the war zone between the comfort of your bed and the voice in your head that whispers, "Just 5 more minutes." That voice, it's not innocent. It's the enemy. Because every time you listen to it, you surrender your life to comfort. You give away control. You hand the steering wheel of your destiny to weakness. You don't need an alarm clock. You need a mission. You don't need to feel ready. You need to act, especially when you don't feel like it. The moment your alarm rings, a battle begins. And if you hesitate, if you give it even a second of negotiation, you've already lost ground. You're not just hitting snooze. You're training your mind to break promises, to delay action, to run from discipline. And that habit, it infects everything. It spreads like rot into your work, your health, your goals. It's never just a morning issue, it's a life issue. That's why how you start your day is everything. The winners of the world don't roll out of bed reacting to life. They rise with intention. Before checking a phone, before speaking a word, they seize control of their state, body, mind, and focus. Some move their bodies to ignite energy. Some journal to direct thoughts. Some meditate to tame chaos. But all of them have one thing in common. They take control of the first hour. Because the first hour isn't just an hour. It's the foundation of who you are becoming. If you wake up rushing, reacting, running late, you're creating a life of panic. You're wiring your nervous system for anxiety. And that energy lingers. But if you rise like a warrior, grounded, focused, clear, you weaponize your day. You become dangerous in a world of sleepwalkers. Most people wait for motivation to show up and drag them into action. But you're not like them. You build identity through action. You become powerful through habit. You earn your confidence by conquering your mornings. Want discipline? Start with your alarm. Want clarity? Start with your silence. Want momentum? Start with your body. You don't need 2 hours. You don't need perfection. You just need ownership. 10 minutes of intentional focus is more powerful than a whole day of passive existence. So build a routine. Make it sacred. Make it non-negotiable. Your morning should be your ritual of dominance. The daily reminder that you control your mind, your body, your fate. Because the truth is brutal. If you can't even command the first hour of your day, what makes you think you can command the rest of your life? No more excuses. No more snooze buttons. You rise or you rot. Decide. Lesson 2. Control your focus, or be controlled. Focus is not optional. It's the currency of the elite. And if you don't control where it goes, someone else will. They want your attention. Every app, every ad, every distraction is designed to break your concentration, to scatter your mind, to keep you weak, reactive, and lost. Because a distracted mind is a defeated mind. Let's make one thing clear. You can't build greatness with fragmented focus. You can't master your craft if you can't even sit still with your thoughts. And you will never dominate life if you keep letting petty interruptions pull you away from purpose. The difference between those who create and those who consume. Focus. The world isn't short on information. It's drowning in it. What's rare now is clarity. What's rare now is presence. What's rare is a human being who can lock in and shut the rest out. Most people drift. They wake up and let the world tell them what matters. They check messages before they check their mission. They scroll through noise before they sit in silence. They pour their energy into everyone else's agenda and wonder why their own life feels empty. But not you. Because you understand this truth. What you focus on becomes your reality. If you focus on problems, your life becomes stress. If you focus on distractions, your life becomes noise. But if you focus on growth, creation, execution, your life becomes purpose. It becomes power. Focus is your weapon. And like any weapon, it must be trained. You must train your brain to lock in when it wants to run, to go deep when the world wants you shallow, to stay on one task while everyone else brags about multitasking and gets nothing done. Block time for deep work. Carve out sacred space for what matters. Shut the doors. Silence the notifications. Let the world wait. Because your mission does not share oxygen with distractions. You must become ruthless about protecting your mind. Be the gatekeeper of your attention. Be the assassin of distraction. Say no over and over until your environment is aligned with your vision. Because every yes to distraction is a no to greatness. Here's the harsh reality. Most people are exhausted not from doing too much, but from thinking about too many things. Every app, every switch of tasks, every interruption, it costs you energy. It fragments your power. It makes you mentally weak. You want to rise? Then focus like your life depends on it. Because it does. You don't get a legendary life with average attention. You don't build a legacy while checking your phone every 10 minutes. You don't master anything unless you learn to lock in so hard the world disappears. Excellence is not just built in the doing. It's built in the ability to stay in what you're doing. No more letting the outside world hijack your mind. No more letting impulse steal your hours. No more being a puppet for someone else's agenda. Guard your focus like a king guards the throne. Because once it's gone, so is your power. Lesson 3. Mastering self-discipline. Discipline is the gatekeeper. Between the life you want and the life you're living stands a single merciless guardian. Self-discipline. No shortcuts, no way around it. No hack, no coach, no secret plan will save you if you can't make yourself do what must be done. Let's get real. You don't need more motivation. You need to stop being addicted to how you feel. Because motivation is a liar. It whispers when it wants and disappears when you need it most. It shows up when life is easy and vanishes when the storm rolls in. But discipline doesn't flinch. It doesn't ask how you feel. It doesn't care about your excuses. It just executes. Discipline is the reason the weak stay stuck and the strong keep rising. It's what separates the man who talks from the man who builds. It's what separates potential from power. And here's the brutal truth. Every time you let yourself off the hook, every time you say, "I'll do it later," every time you make an excuse, you're not just wasting time. You're weakening the muscle. You're training your mind that quitting is okay, that compromise is acceptable, that softness is survival. But survival isn't the goal. Dominance is. You want power? You want freedom? You want mastery? Then you must train yourself to do it anyway. Tired? Do it anyway. Uninspired? Do it anyway. Scared? Confused? Burned out? Do it anyway. Because every time you follow through, no matter the resistance, you send a message to your mind. I am not owned by comfort. I do what must be done. And that identity is unbreakable. The greatest warriors, the sharpest minds, the most dangerous creators, they didn't wait for permission. They built routines like armor. They turned discipline into instinct. They don't debate with themselves. They decide once and never again. I train every day. I wake up on time. I execute, regardless of mood. It's not a discussion. It's a law, their law. And that's your path too. Start small. Ruthless consistency. Make your bed. Hydrate. Show up. And make those promises non-negotiable. Because the mind doesn't respect intentions. It respects follow-through. And with each small victory, each moment of discipline, you gain momentum. You harden your identity. You silence the noise. You become dangerously consistent. But hear this. Discipline isn't about never failing. It's about refusing to stay down. Some days will break you. You'll slip. You'll falter. But the real ones don't wallow. They reset and return harder. The weak wait until they feel like it. The disciplined don't wait at all. You are not your feelings. You are your follow-through. So make a decision to stop giving power to your moods, to stop being enslaved by your comfort, to stop negotiating with your weakness, and instead become a weapon, unshakable, relentless, disciplined. Because in a world addicted to ease, the one who can suffer by choice will own everything. Lesson 4. Relentless consistency. Everyone can start. Only the rare survive the middle. You see it every day. People hyped on day one. New goals, new notebooks, new routines. They hit the gym with fire. They grind for a week. They meditate for 2 days. They post about their transformation on social media like it's already done. Then something happens. They miss a day. Then 2. Then the fire dies. And they're back to square one. Again. That's not success. That's hype addiction. That's emotional convenience pretending to be commitment. Excellence doesn't care how excited you were in the beginning. It cares how obsessed you are when it's boring. It cares how unshakable you are when it's hard. It cares how consistent you are when no one claps for you, when no one notices, when no one gives a damn. Because most people are only consistent until it's no longer convenient. They grind until it rains. They show up until they're tired. They push until the results don't come fast enough. But those who dominate, those who truly build, they keep going regardless. Relentless consistency is what separates the burned-out sprinter from the relentless marathoner. It's not about going 100 miles per hour for a week. It's about showing up at your edge every single day. Because success is a compound effect. You don't see the payoff right away. You pour effort in, days, weeks, months, and nothing moves. No applause, no instant reward. That's when most people quit. They assume it's not working, but the ones who keep showing up, they understand the truth. The breakthrough always comes after the boredom, after the pain, after the silent grind. Consistency is more important than intensity. Better to train for 15 minutes every day than 3 hours once a week and burn out. Better to write 1 page a day than 30 pages in a burst and disappear. Because when you keep the habit alive, you keep the identity alive. You're telling yourself, I don't stop. I don't disappear. I don't negotiate. But let's be clear. Consistency doesn't mean you never fall. You will slip. Life will punch you in the face. The question is, how fast do you get back up? Most let one missed day turn into a missed week, then a missed month, then a dead dream. But not you. You hold the line. You never let a bad moment rewrite your identity. And that's the key. Don't make success dependent on willpower. Willpower is unstable. Some days you'll have it. Some days you won't. You need systems. Set your environment to win. Create routines that remove friction. Design your life so the habit is the default, not the struggle. Make your non-negotiables automatic. You don't think about brushing your teeth. You just do it. That's what your goals need to become. Reflex. Habit. Identity. Want to read daily? Put the book by your bed. Want to train daily? Lay your clothes out the night before. Want to execute daily? Block the time and guard it like your life depends on it. Because it does. And here's another secret. Lower the barrier to entry. You don't need to crush every workout. Just do something. You don't need to write a chapter. Just write a sentence. Because the habit is more important than the intensity. Momentum is everything. And the enemy of momentum is all or nothing thinking. Keep the streak alive, even if it's small, even if you're tired, even if you're crawling. Because once you stop completely, quitting becomes easier. The habit dies. And with it, your momentum, your identity, your edge. So remember this, consistency isn't sexy, it isn't loud, it doesn't care if you feel like it. It's silent, it's ruthless, and it's the foundation of everything legendary. You don't need more energy, you don't need more time, you don't need more hype. You need to show up, again, and again, and again, until your very existence becomes a force of nature. Lesson 5. Set ruthless standards or sink into mediocrity. Let's make something crystal clear. You don't get what you wish for. You get what you tolerate. Look around. Every result in your life, your body, your bank account, your relationships, your routines, is the reflection of what you've allowed, what you've accepted, what you've normalized. Mediocrity doesn't barge through the door. It sneaks in quietly. When you let a workout slide, when you let your diet slip, when you tell yourself, just this once. But there is no just once. There is only the erosion of your standards. There is only the slow death of the identity you could have become. You either hold the line or you drown in compromise. You know what most people do? They look around at their environment and adjust downward. If their coworkers are lazy, they slack off too. If their friends think small, they shrink their vision. If others are cutting corners, they follow. Because that's what's normal. But you're not here to be normal. You're here to build something extraordinary. And extraordinary doesn't conform. It confronts. It elevates. Standards are your sword. And when you lower them, you disarm yourself. You can't demand greatness while tolerating mediocrity. You can't talk about legacy while acting like a coward. You can't become elite by keeping habits designed for the average. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being non-negotiable. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Discipline is built when no one's watching. Character is carved in the dark. Excellence is forged in the moments when compromise would be easy. But you refuse. You think greatness is built in the spotlight? No. It's built when you train while others sleep. It's built when you eat clean while others binge. It's built when you hold the line while others fold. Your standards are not what you aspire to. They are what you enforce when it's inconvenient. When you're tired. When you're unmotivated. When you're disrespected. When you failed. The real test of your standards? What do you do when there's no one to applaud you? No recognition. No praise. No audience. Because if you only act right when eyes are on you, you're not disciplined. You're performing. The world is not changed by performers. It's changed by those who operate with integrity behind closed doors. And here's another truth most won't admit. Your environment is either elevating you or eroding you. There is no neutral. You surround yourself with people who tolerate excuses, and you'll become one of them. You spend time with people who move like assassins, and you'll sharpen like steel. Excellence is contagious. So is mediocrity. Audit your circle. Clean your environment. Align your surroundings with the future you're building. But remember this. Your environment can only influence. You are the final line of defense. When the pressure's on, when the crowd walks away, when the storm hits and the plan crumbles, will you still enforce your standard? Or will you negotiate it away for comfort? Because every time you let the standard slip, you reinforce the idea that you're not serious, that your word doesn't matter, that your identity is still soft. But every time you hold the line, even in private, even in pain, even in isolation, you sharpen your identity. You become dangerous. You become untouchable. You don't need more rules. You need one. Never lower the bar. Raise yourself to meet it. Because if you don't hold yourself to a higher standard, don't expect the world to give you a higher result. Lesson 6. Train decisive action. Hesitation is death. Hesitation kills more dreams than failure ever could. Not because it defeats you, but because it paralyzes you. Because it convinces you to wait, to think a little more, to wait for the right time, to gather more information. But the truth is brutal. You already know what to do. You're just afraid to do it. The world will never hand you clarity. It will never guarantee success. And if you sit back waiting for perfect conditions, you'll die waiting. The ones who dominate in this life aren't the ones who make perfect choices. They're the ones who decide and move. Because movement builds momentum. And momentum obliterates resistance. But the longer you wait, the heavier the task becomes. Every second you stall gives fear more room to breathe. Every delay gives doubt a louder voice. And every time you hesitate, you reinforce the identity of someone who doesn't trust themselves. Let that sink in. Hesitation is self-betrayal. It's you telling yourself, I'm not ready. I don't trust my instincts. I'd rather stall than risk being wrong. But you don't grow by being right. You grow by moving, by stepping into the unknown, by making the call, taking the shot, launching the plan, even if your hands are shaking. That's where power is built. In the fire of motion, in the chaos of action, in the courage to act before you feel fully prepared. The elite don't need certainty. They create clarity through movement. And here's the paradox. You think thinking more makes you smarter, but often it makes you slower. You're not refining your plan. You're building a cage made of logic, fear, and delay. Perfectionism is not a standard. It's a prison. So what's the way out? Decide fast. Act faster. Train your instincts like a weapon. Use the 5-second rule if you have to. Count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and move. Don't give your mind time to negotiate. The moment you know the action, take it. The moment you feel hesitation, cut through it. You think the best performers always feel confident? Wrong. They move despite the uncertainty. They fail faster, learn faster, adjust faster, because they're in the arena while others are still sitting in the stands. Every decision you avoid compounds the weight of your inaction. It creates friction. It invites anxiety. It steals time, energy, and confidence. And every decision you take, no matter how small, builds a habit. The habit of execution. The habit of movement. The habit of trusting yourself. Want to be unstoppable? Stop giving hesitation a voice. Stop worshiping certainty. Stop waiting for when it's time. It's time now. You will make mistakes. You will misstep. So what? You can adjust. You can learn. You can rebuild. But you can't do any of that if you don't move. The difference between the people who change the world and the ones who disappear into it. One group acts. The other waits. One builds confidence through motion. The other drains it through overthinking. So make a choice. Will you be paralyzed by what if? Or will you become someone who trains decisive action into your blood? Don't aim to be perfect. Aim to be dangerous. Make decisions with force. Execute without apology. Move fast. Adjust on the run. Because the road belongs to those who walk it, not those who plan forever to take the first step. Lesson 7. Build mental toughness, or be broken by life. Let's stop pretending the world is fair. It isn't. It never was. And it never will be. There are no participation trophies for the broken. No applause for those who almost made it. And no mercy for the weak when the pressure comes. Mental toughness is not optional. It is required. Because life isn't just hard, it's relentless. It doesn't knock you down once. It hits again, and again, and again, until it finds out what you're made of. Most people fold. The moment it gets hard, they retreat. The moment they face resistance, they complain. The moment life takes a swing, they hit the floor and stay there. Why? Because they never trained their mind to endure. They were taught to seek comfort, to avoid pain, to crave ease. But what they don't realize is this: comfort is a slow death. And every time you choose it, your edge gets dull, your vision gets blurry, your strength atrophies. Toughness doesn't come from reading quotes. It doesn't come from wishful thinking. It comes from doing hard things, on purpose. It's built when you wake up early while your body screams to sleep. It's built when you push through one more set, when your muscles are shaking. It's built when you keep your word, when no one's watching, and your excuses are screaming. You want to be mentally tough? Then earn it. Expose yourself to pressure. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Chase difficulty. Seek challenge. Choose suffering voluntarily. Because when pain becomes familiar, it loses its power. When you stop fearing adversity, you stop folding under it. And when your mind is hardened, nothing external can break you. Understand this. You will fail. You will lose. You will be laughed at, betrayed, exhausted, ignored, and tested. The weak take those hits and make it their identity. They become the victim, the cautionary tale, the one who almost made it. But the strong, they take those same hits and forge armor. They turn scars into strategy. They turn pain into fuel. They keep going, not because it's easy, but because stopping is not an option. You don't rise by avoiding the dark. You rise by walking into it, eyes open, fists clenched, jaw locked, and refusing to break. You train mental toughness every time you act when you don't feel like it. Every time you focus when your mind wants to wander. Every time you show up when every part of you wants to stay down. It's in the silence, the grind, the grit, the daily war no one else sees, but you fight anyway. The strongest people you know didn't stumble into resilience. They built it, in fire, in failure, in hell. And you will too, if you stop seeking the path of least resistance and start building the kind of mind that cannot be shaken. Because here's the truth. Talent fades, luck ends, motivation dies. But a mind that refuses to quit, that mind becomes unbreakable. So train yours. Push past your limit, then go further. Suffer with purpose. Fight with intention. And when life hits again, and it will, you won't crumble. You won't bend. You won't beg. You'll smile. Because pain is your training partner now. Lesson 8. Excellence is who you become, not what you do. You've been told to focus on actions, habits, goals. Wake up early, train hard, stay focused. But those are surface level. They're just the symptoms of something deeper. Because the truth is this: you don't rise by what you do occasionally. You rise by what you become permanently. And if you haven't made excellence your identity, then everything you build will eventually fall apart. You'll be disciplined until life hits. You'll be consistent until no one's watching. You'll be focused until distractions start screaming. You can't fake this. You either live it or you don't. Excellence isn't something you visit. It's where you live. It's not a switch. It's not a performance. It's your new default state. You can't try to be excellent. You either decide that this is who you are, or you spend your life slipping in and out of mediocrity, grasping for motivation, wondering why nothing sticks. Want to know the real reason most people stay stuck? Because they treat excellence like a task list. Wake up early. Check the boxes. Do the work. But deep down, they still see themselves as average, as someone trying to improve. And that identity, that inner label, is stronger than any routine. Because when the pressure comes, you don't default to your goals. You default to your standards. And your standards are born from your identity. So stop asking, what should I do today? Start asking, who am I becoming today? Because your actions flow from identity. And when you finally decide, fully and violently, that you are not like them, that you are not soft, not average, not excusable, that this life you're building is not a phase, but a warpath. Then everything clicks. The habits become automatic. The choices become instinct. And the world begins to respond to you differently. You stop chasing success. You start attracting it. Because you've become someone it can no longer ignore. Understand this. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be relentless. Relentless in showing up. Relentless in your execution. Relentless in protecting the identity you're building. And it starts now. Right here. Right now. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel like it. Not when life gives you permission. Now, because every decision you make is a vote for the kind of person you believe yourself to be. Every action, every repetition, is evidence of your identity. You either act in alignment with the person you were or the person you are becoming. You choose. But let me warn you, there is no neutral. You are always becoming something, always moving in one direction or the other, toward power or passivity, toward greatness or regression, toward domination or decay. So if you've come this far, don't turn back. Kill the old self. Burn the excuses. Raise the standard. And become the one they said didn't exist. Excellence is no longer something you aim for. It's something you embody. You are the storm. You are the edge. You are the standard. Now carry it like armor and live like your legacy depends on it. Because it does. Lesson 9. Every day is a war between mediocrity and mastery. You wake up with a choice. Not once in a while. Not when life feels good. Every single day. You choose. Do I rise or do I rot? Do I act in alignment with who I could be? Or do I retreat into the decaying comfort of who I've always been? That's the war. And it's not loud. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It hides in your routines, in your excuses, in your I'll do it tomorrow, in your just one day off. That voice wants you soft. It wants you small. It wants you numb, distracted, and obedient. But the voice that builds mastery, it's quieter. It doesn't beg for your attention. It demands your discipline. It says, prove it. You want greatness? Then earn it in the shadows. Before the world sees you. Before the money. Before the validation. Before anyone gives a damn. You earn it in the cold mornings when you don't want to move. You earn it in the boring reps that no one celebrates. You earn it when nothing's working, but you keep going anyway. Because the war between mediocrity and mastery isn't won by intensity. It's won by consistency under fire. You don't lose because you lack talent. You lose because you broke your own code. You let emotion overrule execution. You let your feelings decide your actions. You let resistance become your ruler. But here's the truth you don't want to face. There's always a cost. You're either paying the price of discipline now, or the price of regret later. One hurts for a season, the other for a lifetime. Every time you lower the standard, every time you tolerate half effort, every time you betray your future self for comfort in the moment, you lose ground. And that loss compounds. It infects your body, your work, your identity, until you wake up one day and realize you become the very thing you swore you'd never be. Average, forgettable, weak. But it doesn't have to end that way. Because every moment, every day, you're given a weapon. Choice. That you can choose to build, or you can choose to decay. You can choose to rise, or you can choose to retreat. You can choose mastery in how you think, how you move, how you lead. Or you can let this world pull you back into its gray, silent grave of mediocrity. But know this, There's no middle, no neutral, no safety net. You're either moving forward or you're falling behind. You're either sharpening the sword or letting it rust. You're either feeding your future or starving it with your apathy. The war doesn't stop. There is no finish line. There is only today. So what will it be? Will you shrink when it gets hard? Will you run when your mind starts screaming? Will you wait for a sign while your purpose rots? Or will you make today another brick in the empire you're building? Will you make today undeniable proof that you are becoming someone unstoppable? The world will not crown you for potential. It will not reward you for intention. It only respects results. And those results come from how you show up in the ordinary days. Not the big ones, the silent ones, the invisible battles. So stop waiting, stop wishing, wage war with your laziness, with your old identity, with a voice that says, stay comfortable. Because the war between mediocrity and mastery is fought every day. And it's not one in the spotlight. It's one in the dark. Lesson 10. You don't need more time. You need to decide. Let's rip the mask off. Time isn't your problem. It never was. You've had enough time. You've had the hours. You've had the chances. But instead of deciding, you waited. Waited for clarity. Waited for motivation. Waited for the fear to fade. Waited until you were ready. And while you waited, life didn't. It moved on without you. Opportunities, gone. Momentum, dead. Potential, wasted. Because the truth is simple and savage. Your life is the sum of the decisions you refuse to make. The success you didn't build, that was a decision. The body you don't have, a decision. The business you never started, a decision. The discipline you keep losing, all decisions. You thought inaction was neutral, but it's not. It's slow, silent self-destruction. Every time you delay, every time you say, not yet, every time you convince yourself you're still preparing, you're bleeding out your edge. The most dangerous people in the world don't wait. They decide. They move. They act with finality. They burn the boats and then figure it out, because they know something most will never understand. The power isn't in knowing, it's in deciding. And the longer you stay undecided, the weaker you become. The more life drags you around like a puppet. You become a slave to the outside world, to conditions, to opinions, to emotions. You become a reactor, not a creator. And let me tell you this, you will never build a kingdom by waiting for perfect weather. The world isn't looking for perfect people. It's looking for people who choose, who decide with force, who cut the rope on the old self and never look back. So here's the line in the sand. Who are you going to be? Not someday. Not when it's easy. Right now. Because every day you delay is another day you reinforce the identity of someone who doesn't follow through. And that identity becomes a cage. Until one day, the walls are too thick to break. So stop telling yourself you need more time, more certainty, more permission. You don't. You need to decide, right now, to raise your standard, to execute regardless of emotion, to take the first step and never retreat again. Because indecision is where potential dies. And decision is where the war turns. It's the knife that cuts through fear. It's the fire that burns through hesitation. It's the switch that turns dreams into weapons. You don't need another course. You don't need another quote. You don't need another plan. You need to decide that this is who you are now. The kind of person who moves with intent, who acts without apology, who walks into the unknown already knowing they'll survive it. Because when you decide that excellence isn't an option, but your only reality, everything changes. Not over time, not eventually, immediately. Lesson 11. You're always training something. Choose what it is. You think discipline is something you turn on when it matters? You think focus, action, and excellence are part-time habits? No. They are full-time identities. And every second you're alive, whether you realize it or not, you are training. Right now, in this moment, you're building a habit. You're either sharpening your edge or you're dulling it. You're either reinforcing discipline or you're reinforcing weakness. You're either practicing decisiveness or you're perfecting hesitation. You're always training something. Every time you hit snooze, you're training delay. Every time you scroll instead of execute, you're training distraction. Every time you make an excuse, you're training self-betrayal. Every time you let yourself off the hook, you're building an identity that will betray you when it counts. And that's the lie people live under. They think inaction is harmless, that just for today is no big deal, that slipping a little won't cost them anything. But what they don't see is that they're not just wasting time. They're training failure. They're training inconsistency. They're conditioning themselves to fold. They're becoming someone they'll hate the moment life gets hard. And when the pressure comes, because it always does, they wonder why they collapse. They wonder why they can't stay focused, why they never follow through, why they're full of goals but empty on results. It's because they trained mediocrity when no one was watching. But there's a way out. And it's not through hype. It's not through motivation. It's through intentional training, relentless repetition, tiny daily wars that no one will see. But you will remember. The 10 minutes of silence in the morning instead of grabbing your phone. The extra rep when your muscles say stop. The deep work block when distractions beg for attention. The small promise kept when no one would know if you broke it. That's where the transformation lives. In the quiet, brutal, lonely practice of becoming unstoppable. The question isn't if you're training something. You are. The real question is, are you training your power or your downfall? Every moment is an opportunity to embed a new command into your nervous system. To build a response so automatic that when the pressure comes, you don't fold. You fire. The elite don't wonder what to do when chaos strikes. They've trained it. They've built reflexes out of discipline. They've turned standards into instinct. And when the battle hits, they don't rise to the occasion. They fall back on their training. You want to become someone who never quits? Then train resilience when no one's testing you. You want to be consistent? Then train consistency when no one's watching. You want to be elite? Then earn it in private long before the world demands it from you. Every action matters. Every choice reinforces. You're building the machine, or you're rusting in place. So stop drifting. Stop thinking you're neutral. Stop pretending today doesn't count. Because whether you act or don't, you are becoming someone. And one day, very soon, you'll meet the version of yourself that you've been training for. Will they be a weapon or a warning? Lesson 12. Nothing sticks without repetition. You want transformation? You want mastery? You want a life so sharp it cuts through the chaos? Then understand this brutal truth. One-time effort means nothing. One great day, one hard workout, one motivated burst. That's not mastery. That's noise. Repetition is the throne, and you either sit on it or you serve those who do. The world is filled with people who started strong. They had a plan, they had fire, they had potential, but they had no repetition. And without repetition, your greatness dies in its infancy. You want to master your mornings. Do it every day until the thought of skipping feels unnatural. You want to build confidence? Reinforce it with daily action, not just hype. You want to change your life? Then carve new wiring into your mind through relentless, unshakable repetition. Because nothing sticks the first time. Not habits, not belief, not identity. The mind rejects what's new. It tries to return to what's familiar, even if what's familiar is pain, laziness, or chaos. It wants comfort. And repetition is how you beat that comfort into submission. Every time you show up, you carve a deeper groove into your identity. Every rep reinforces who you are. Every disciplined choice becomes a louder voice in your head that says, "This is who I am now." But here's where most people fail. They confuse novelty for growth. They hop from plan to plan, strategy to strategy, chasing that newness. Because new feels exciting, but excitement fades. Repetition is boring. And that's where most people tap out. Because they want adrenaline, not domination, but mastery. Mastery is forged in boredom. It's built when you're sick of the routine, but do it anyway. When no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when nothing's changing yet, but you keep showing up like it is. That's the grind most can't stomach. That's the reason they stay stuck. They think if it doesn't feel magical, it isn't working. But real transformation is invisible until it isn't. And when it finally shows, it swallows the world whole. You want to be dangerous? Repeat your rituals until they run deeper than instinct. Until your default setting is excellence. Until success isn't a decision, it's your baseline. It's brushing your teeth. It's tying your boots. It's clockwork. Because if you need motivation every time, you haven't trained yourself properly. You haven't earned your instincts yet. The warrior doesn't draw his blade and wonder how to use it. He's done it 10,000 times in silence. Now he draws it, and it's already over. You want to be that sharp? Then earn it. Repeat it. Reinforce it. Until it becomes you. And here's the final dagger. You're already repeating something. You're already practicing. You're already rehearsing. The only question is, are you repeating discipline or weakness? Every skipped workout is repetition. Every time you delay your mission, it's repetition. Every time you choose distraction, you're wiring it in. So choose wisely. Because repetition doesn't just build skill, it builds identity. It builds reality. And nothing, absolutely nothing, sticks without it. Lesson 13. Your standards are only real when you enforce them. Talk is cheap. Everyone claims to have high standards until it's time to live by them. They say, "I don't tolerate disrespect. I value my health. I'm committed to my goals." But when pressure hits, they fold, they bend, they make exceptions. And that's the truth most people can't face. A standard isn't real until it's tested. You don't prove your values when things are easy. You prove them when it would be easier to break them. When you're exhausted and no one would blame you for skipping the gym, do you go anyway? When a shortcut offers quicker results but compromises your integrity, do you take it? When someone disrespects your boundaries, do you enforce them or do you flinch? Because in those moments, your standard becomes visible, not to others, but to yourself. And every time you enforce it, you fortify your identity. You remind yourself that your word means something. You tell your subconscious, "This is who I am, and I don't back down." But the moment you break your own line, even just a little, you start to rot from the inside. The standard becomes negotiable. And once it's negotiable, it's lost. You train your mind to believe that exceptions are acceptable. And what starts as just this once becomes a pattern, then a lifestyle, then your reality. And suddenly, the high standard you used to speak about with pride is just another lie you tell yourself to sleep at night. So here's the law. Set the standard. Enforce the standard. Or admit it never meant anything. No one's going to uphold it for you. No one's going to reward you for keeping it. No one's going to chase you to do what you said you would. This is war. And in war, your code is everything. You think elite performance is about talent. It's not. It's about having a line you refuse to cross. Even when no one's watching. Even when no one would know if you slipped. Even when the easy path is laid out like a red carpet. That's what makes you dangerous. Not just ambition, but discipline in silence. Because at the highest levels, what separates the predators from the prey isn't how loud they talk. It's how deeply they enforce their internal laws. Make your standards visible. Write them. Speak them. Memorize them. But most of all, live them. If you say you don't skip workouts, don't skip them. If you say you don't lie, never lie. If you say your time is sacred, guard it like it's under siege. Your consistency and enforcement is what gives your standard weight. It's what transforms it from a nice idea into an unbreakable code. But the weak, they bend. They flex their morals to fit the moment. They crave being liked more than being honored. Don't be them. You don't rise by being agreeable. You rise by being unshakable. So decide what your standards are. Decide what is non-negotiable. And then become the kind of person who would rather die on their feet than live on their knees. Because in the end, the standard you enforce becomes the life you live. You've heard the truth now. Not the sugar-coated version. Not the safe, comfortable lies they sell the masses. But the raw, unfiltered blueprint for becoming something unforgettable. And now the question isn't whether you understand it. The question is, will you live it? Because knowledge without action is self-betrayal. Wisdom without execution is a wasted flame. And potential without discipline, it's a slow death with a smile on its face. Every lesson you've heard, waking up with intention, controlling your focus, mastering self-discipline, becoming relentlessly consistent, setting ruthless standards, making fast, firm decisions, training mental toughness, forging an unbreakable identity, understanding that every day is war, that repetition is your religion, and your standards are your code of honor. These aren't just ideas. They are survival. In a world that wants you docile, distracted, and domesticated, you must become a machine of execution. A mind honed like a blade. A soul that refuses to rot in the silence of almost. You must walk like your habits are armor. You must act like your time is sacred. You must enforce your standards like your legacy depends on it. Because it does. Let others drown in excuses. Let them debate. Let them hesitate. Let them chase comfort like it's their salvation. But not you. You're here to rise without applause, to suffer without complaint, to show up, relentless, uninvited, and unstoppable. Not because it's easy, but because it's who you are now. From this moment forward, There are no more soft days. No more waiting for the perfect mood. No more lowering the bar just because the world does. You are either sharpening your edge every day or letting it rust. You are either enforcing your identity or erasing it. And you are either building the kind of life that demands respect or sinking into one that begs for acceptance. This is the fork in the road. Right now, not tomorrow, not when it's easier. Now, so decide. Are you going to live the rest of your life half-built, choking on someday? Or will you finally step into the fire, embrace the war, and become the weapon you were meant to be? The world will try to break you. Let it try. Because you've already decided. You will not bend. You will not beg. You will not retreat. You are the standard now. Burn that into your bones and move